Hello, welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. My name is Kirsty and this is my podcast where I share about all the things that I've been making. I am an Australian who lives in Poland, and so I'm coming to you from Rzeszów in Poland. Welcome or welcome back. I am so excited to be back here talking to you today. I was meant to be having a Polish lesson, but the internet is down. Not just my internet, but like Cloudflare. If you know what that is, you know. If you don't know, apparently it's one of the biggest servers or something. Anyway, it's not working. So I can't have my Polish lesson because I do that over Zoom. So instead, I'm here recording an episode for you. So sad to not have Polish, excited to be here. I have finished, I think I counted 7 things since the last time I recorded. So there is quite a few things to share with you today. I have knitting, I have crochet, I have a bit of sewing. 2 of those things were sewing, but only one of them I can show you. And I'm obviously wearing a new finish as well. If you've been here before, you may recognize it. Oops, sorry. I am also trying something different. I have a microphone, which I bought a while ago to help with sound for podcasting and could not figure out how to use it. Didn't bother my husband to ask him. He's a lot more tech savvy than me. It just wasn't working. The last episode I recorded, sorry if the sound was a bit weird, I dropped my phone and that has affected the speaker, which I knew, but it has also affected the microphone. And so the sound last time was a bit weird, and I did some digging around in post to try and fix it. And I got it to the point where I was happy to post it instead of re-recording, but I was like, I need to figure out this mic thing. So I have a mic, it is attached. Hopefully the sound is going to work better today. But if I touch it or something because I'm not used to it, I apologize in advance. I hope it works and that we can I can keep recording videos for you all because I really enjoy this. And I'm not ready to get a new phone. Aside from the speaker and the mic not working, it's working fine. So we're going to keep going with it. Wow. There's a lot. There's a lot that I've been working on. But at the same time, I've been working on kind of one thing at a time and getting it through to the finish before I move on to the next thing. So I don't feel like I've been working on a lot because it's been more focused working. And if you've been here a while, you may know that that means my life is in a little bit of chaos right now. When my life is chaos, I want regular kind of things to work on. When my life is calm, I want to try all the things. So life is chaos. I'm trying to have calm knitting. That chaos is just that we're going to be moving soon. We're looking for a house, moving to a different town, still in Poland, but it means that everything is mentally in a bit of upheaval, and the house we're starting to pack. So there you go. But knitting, crafting, like I said, I think there's 7 things since last time. And also it is now December 5th. Yes, December 5th. 2025, which means I have November stats for you. I spoke a little bit last time, I think, how I was almost at 1,000 grams and I really wanted to get over 1,000 grams and I wanted to finish the jumper I'm now wearing in order to do that. Spoiler, I finished it. But it means I did end up at over 1,000 grams used in November. In fact, 1,799 grams, almost 1,800 grams used in November. That's a lot. I finished 10 different things. The big ones was the Mystery Musical. This sweater was almost 600 grams. And then I did a muscle bar, a dress, a shawl, as well as all of the socks. So it added up. And am I sad it wasn't 1 gram more? Yes, I am. Do I really care that much? No, I don't. So that brings my total grams used for the year to 8,394, which now has me going, can I get to 10,000 before the year is out? It's December. I don't have any more big things very close to finishing, so probably not. But you never know because I have already made a pretty big dent this month. So let's see. We'll see. Yeah, that's stats. Almost 1,800 grams used in November. And that also is reflective. I was trying to get things off the needles, and I did finish 10 things, and I only started, I started quite a few, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I started 8, I finished 10. That's not too bad. Anyway, so that can't be right. No. I started 5, I finished 10. That's better. Started 5, finished 10. Doing well. The other thing that I'm excited about, I have my little notebook here that I keep track in, and I set up December's page yesterday with all my Christmas washi tape, and I realised I only have one project that I started before 12 cast-ons last year, which makes me very, very happy. That project I started in 2023 in January, so that's already 3 years old, or almost 3 years old. But everything else that I'm working on, I've started in the past 12 months, and that feels good. Will that continue to be the case in a month's time? No, because there are 12 cast-ons from this year, last year, that I haven't finished, and that's fine. But at the moment, I've been working through some of those earlier things. There are still some Christmas presents I'm trying to get done, some socks, which I will talk about in a little bit. But otherwise, I want to start showing you what I've been making. So we'll talk about this one first because I'm wearing it. I finished my Ali sweater. Now, Ali's sweater is a pattern by S-Knits. I think her name is Sarah Opie, S-Knits, s.knits on Instagram and maybe on Ravelry too. And this is Ali's sweater. She also has Ali's tee, and I think she's got socks in the same pattern as well. The pattern being this colourwork pattern. Now, I really enjoyed knitting this. When I started the colourwork, it was just kind of addictive and I just went for it. But I kind of did it in 2 sections. I did almost, I think I did to about 2 diamonds left in one kind of month, and then I came back and finished it off and have been working on the body and sleeves since then. I do love the details on the sleeves, that there are diamonds and colourwork, and there's no diamonds on the bottom. I can't really see if you can see that. There we go. There's no diamonds here, but you do get a pop of colour for the cuff. For the hem, and then it's reversed on the cuff. So the cuff is done in the contrasting colour and you get that pop of colour for the bind off back to the main colour. I love it. And full disclosure, this is the first time I've worn it. I put it on, I blocked it, I finished it a week ago. Let me double check that. I finished it, 28th of November, so almost a week ago. I blocked it almost straight away. It took quite a few days to dry. When it was dry, I put it away so that I could wear it when I recorded next. I wasn't sure when that would be. And I got it out and I trimmed all the threads 20 minutes ago. And I put it on and it is delightful. Absolutely delightful to wear. It is kind of that oversized, snuggly, you can see it comes nicely down my arms. Now, as I mentioned last time, I don't know if it's designed to be that long in the sleeve, but it also, if I bend my elbows, it sits nicely. When it's hanging down, it's kind of fingertip length. But I'm pretty sure I would have got some growth because this is superwash yarn. So I got some growth in blocking, but I don't measure blocking before and after, so I can't tell you how much growth there was, but I'm pretty sure there was growth. But either way, it is just comfy, and I've got the cuffs come in enough that when I'm walking around, they can stay up, but they're not tight. I think overall, I just love, love, love the fit. The other thing is the drop with the sleeves. It's probably an inch longer than it needs to be for me to be comfortable, but it means that I can easily wear it over, it's loose enough I could wear it over a long sleeve shirt and still be very comfortable. A lot of my jumpers, I tend to go a bit of a tighter fit, and so I tend to just wear them over a tank top, which is what I'm doing right now. But it's nice to have some that I can wear over bulkier clothes and still be really comfortable. T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, I'm sure this would be completely fine. I love this pattern. One of my friends in Australia, I saw her version of it after I already had the yarn to make my version. And I was like, I just need to get that cast on. And it came up for my 12 cast ons last year. This was my cast on for day, I think it was day 4 of 12 cast ons. I started on the 29th of December and I finished it on the 28th of November. So it was almost exactly 11 months later to finish it. And 590 grams total. So the yarn that I used, the main colour is Miss Nitsky, and it is Midsummer Night in her Macarena DK, which is an MCN, Merino Cashmere Nylon. It is delightfully soft. I was a little worried at times whether it would feel bulky because it's DK weight, and yeah, I just wasn't sure with the gauge if it was going to be relaxed or whether it was going to be quite a tight gauge. It is delightfully relaxed. Like, it is drapey, it is beautiful. The cashmere is soft and warm. I would say go and get yourself some Macarena DK, except that I'm pretty sure it's now discontinued. So sorry about that. But Miss Nitsky is the dyer, and Polish dyer. Really enjoyed her yarn. Like, it's been delightful. I haven't weighed it. It's probably close to 100 grams left, and then a few tiny little bits and pieces. I did end up going into the last ball. I don't even know which one of the sleeves. I ended up going to the last ball, but it wasn't for much of it, and I was still striping it. So, I was still striping it partway through the colour work from memory to finish up the other one as much as I could. So, it wasn't much. In terms of colour management, it is hand-dyed yarn. There was variegation in the skeins, and I spoke about this a lot 2 episodes ago. But I used one colour with no striping for most of the yoke, and then I swapped to the second ball with no striping for the rest of the yoke. And so there is kind of a lighter section here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the screen, but in person, it's not super obvious, and because of contours of body, it kind of matches, but it's there. And so when I got to the body, I started striping just one, the darker and the lighter, and it gave this beautiful, more even effect. But I did, when I got to the hem, I did go back to the darker colour. And so there is a bit of a lighter body and the darker ribbing. And then for the sleeve, I didn't have as much of the lighter colour. So I did 2 rows darker, 1 row lighter for the most part for the sleeves. And then when I got to the colour work, I think I just stuck with the darker for the colour work. Again, I don't like striping during colour work. It's more frustrating, so I just stuck with the darker. And then this one, the final skein I have was kind of in the middle. It was a bit lighter than the darkest ones, but it wasn't as light as the lighter ones. And so that's what I have left. The contrast colour is this one. It's colour, I think the colour is called Aniversario. It's Malabrigos, but I don't actually know the base. It's got alpaca in it. I'm not entirely sure, but it is, yeah, it's great. And I loved the contrast, not being super contrasting between them. And I love how it worked out. I did size 3. Like I said, I haven't checked measurements according to what it should be and what it is. I, at the moment, I haven't measured in the last few months, but I'm like around a 38, 39 inch chest, and I did size 3. I don't know if that's recommended, but with superwash yarn knitting to the recommendations, I've ended up with this slightly oversized sweater, and I love it. I started it a year ago, and I was bigger a year ago. I would have had like a 40 inch chest, 40, 41 inch chest when I started it. So I don't know if I planned it according to that, and I've lost weight and now I've got the oversides, or if it's blocked out bigger. But either way, very content. Drinking some Fort Mason tea in my Christmas mug. And thank you to Ellie, who sent me some more Fort Mason tea. It is lovely. We are drinking it. We are enjoying it. So thank you, Ellie. I mentioned a while ago that I didn't have access to Fort Mason here in Poland, and someone who lives in England offered to send me a tin. So thank you. All right. I don't know that there's anything else to say about this one, except that I now want to start all the sweaters in my queues because I'm so excited. I've thought and planned for sweaters that would have this kind of fit and feel, and I wasn't expecting this one to have this kind of fit and feel, but it is exactly what I want. And also I will mention the collar is a folded collar. I hope I'm not touching that too much. The collar is a folded collar, and in the pattern she does say you can do folded or not folded, and that if you don't like having things touching your neck, going the not folded is probably a better idea. There is short row shaping in the pattern. You can see probably a little bit around the side here.
There is an owl on the tree.
There is an owl on the tree.
Owl.
My husband just interrupted me to show me an owl outside. Totally worth it. So I was talking about the neck. It is a folded collar. Some people, if you don't like having something touching your neck, may prefer to not have a folded collar and have it sit a bit looser, but it's got short row shaping in the shoulder. I don't like having things touching my neck much, but it's enough of a relaxed folded collar that I'm not finding it annoying at all. I'm occasionally doing this just to get it to sit a little further down. But other than that, yeah, it's good. All right, the next thing that I have here to show you is even older than this one. And that is, I finished the dress for my daughter. This one is, thank you. All right, now my husband's bringing me tea. What can I do? Can't complain. This is the Advent dress that I made for myself last year during Advent, but it was my test for that because I wasn't using a pattern. I wasn't sure if it would work, and so I started a dress for my daughter to just test the pattern, and then I did my Advent dress, and my daughter's dress sat there doing nothing. So I finally finished it. And I love it, and she loves it. And when it was blocking and drying, she was like, can I have it? Can I have it? She's worn it once, and then I stole it away when I washed it so that I could show you. So she'll be excited to have it back. But there's two things about this one. There's no pattern, so I can't tell you where to go make one. But I have put, no, there's not many notes on my page because I may be turning this into a pattern. But I'll tell you a little bit if you're interested in doing something similar. Just find a raglan, so it's a raglan one, something like flax from Tin Can Knits would be, Tin Can Knits? Yes, Tin Can Knits would be, I got Recipe Tin Eats and Tin Can Knits confused in my mind. So the flax sweater by Tin Can Knits would be an option. It's a free pattern. I just did a 2x2 rib for the top. When I split for the sleeves, I started striping in here, and for the waist I did 5 rows of colour, 2 rows of main, and when I started increasing I went to 4 rows of colour, 3 rows of main, and then continued that to the end. I have 2 increase rows, one here and one here, to give the skirt a more puffy look, and I can't remember how I did that off the top of my head, but it was something like knit 5, make one right, knit 5, make one right kind of thing, or knit front back, or probably make one right, make one left, whatever. Just do a consistent increase to get it to go out a bit, and then for the edge I just did a picot bind off, and I think I did differently, so the bottom and the sleeves are different. But just a picot edge, something to make it a little bit more frilly. and I love it. I did start using scraps that were like 5 gram minis that were in a swap, and that got me down to, I want to say this one was the last one. And so the last ones, I went into my stash and just found some different pinks that I could use to finish it out. I'm really glad that this last one was in the swap too, actually. So I found some that would work in the middle. I'm really glad I did that. My daughter is very happy that she got extra pink because she is a pink girl through and through. And there's enough pink here that she's like, this is great. What can I tell you about, the yarn? Hello. I have my project bag here with all the bits and bobs still in it. The main colour is Knitting for Olive Merino in the Dusty Aqua colour. And I held it double with Drops Kid Silk. And that is all I have left. I think it's the blue jeans colourway. I've used it for something else, and this was my leftovers. Here we go. Drops Kid Silk, colour number 27. And I did it on 4.5 millimeter needles, and for the ribbing at the top, I probably did a 4 millimeter. And I say probably because I don't have that here, but the neck ribbing is the only ribbing in the entire thing because the rest was done with Pico bind off. It is beautiful, loose, like relaxed fabric again. And so I've got equivalent of DK fingering weight held double with mohair for the main colour, and then for the stripes in this one, I just held them single. So it's just like 4-player yarn knit on a 4.5 millimeter needle, and it is delightful. It's like, if I try hard, it's see-through, but there's enough going on that you don't notice it's see-through. And also my daughter will be wearing it over leggings because it's a winter dress, nice and warm. Yeah, for my version, I did hold the mohair throughout the entire thing, but I really like the vibrancy of the colours when they're allowed to shine on their own. This one I started, because it was to test for Advent last year, I started it on the 16th of November 2024, and I finished it on the 24th of November 2025. So that one was like a year and a month to get it done. But yes, my daughter loves it and will be very happy to get that one back. Gonna drink some more tea because my husband brought me a fresh cup. So good. Still Fort Mason. I make a pot every time, so plenty of cups in a pot. The next thing I actually don't have to show you, so I'm going to try and put a photo in here so that you can see it. But I made it using this yarn. There was a hole. That's not looking as bright as it is in person. It is very bright yarn. There was not a hole, a knot when I was winding it, and so there was this little bit here and then the rest of the skein. There was only one knot in the whole skein, which is completely reasonable, and it is, I think it was a second skein anyway. Like, I think it was a half price skein, whether it was a dyeing practice or maybe she knew there was a knot, I don't know, but it was a deal, this yarn. I got it from Dyeing Dream, which is, she dyes in Australia. And it's, yeah, Australian Merino 100%, 285 meters to 100 grams. So it's more of a sport weight yarn. And it's 100% merino. So I couldn't use it for socks, which is what I originally was thinking of. And it had been sitting there for ages. And then last week at church, or a week and a half ago at church, someone told me that she has been knitting things for people to take over to Ukraine. There's a pastor coming through. He went through to go to, I think, Germany and somewhere else. He's coming back to Ukraine, and she was knitting some things for him to take back with him to the people who need them. And I was like, can I give you some stuff? And so I had a muscle barabini that I knit, months ago and had no idea what to do with, and I just wanted to knit it, and so that had been sitting there waiting for something, and I sent that along, and then I wanted to knit something fresh as well. And so I just did a magic beanie, which doesn't have a pattern, but my notes for how I made it are linked on my Ravelry project page. I think I've made 3 or 4 of them now. I want to say this is my 4th, and I have some other friends who've made it using my notes. So it's over there. It's just a 2x2 ribbed beanie, very simple. The difference with this one, because I wasn't sure who I was making it for, is it's a 2x2 ribbed beanie where you knit the folded brim into it. And I didn't want to do that because I wasn't sure who I was making it for. And it's a magic beanie in that it can fit a large range of sizes. So it fits on my head, it fits on my 6-year-old's head, it fits on my 4-year-old's head. And so I thought, if I fold the brim, I'm limiting who it can be for. But if I leave the brim unfolded, then an adult could wear it without a folded brim, or a kid could wear it with a folded brim. So I didn't knit the folded brim into it just to give it that versatility. But it'll probably be for a kid because it's fluoro green. I did that on 3mm needles, and I did it in the round for the most part until I got to the decreases. And I did the decreases slightly differently for this one because I wasn't looking at the pattern. I was talking to someone at the time, so I just kind of made it up again as I went. But I didn't like it as much as the times I've done it according to my notes previously. So it was fine, but if you're wanting to do it, go follow the notes in Ravelry. I don't know if I said this time, anything I talk about that is yarn related will have a Ravelry project page, so you can go check that out if you want to know more about yarn or modifications or anything like that. Yes, so that's that. I've told you this one, I've told you that one. What am I missing? 1, 2. I didn't write notes today because I wasn't planning to record right now. Okay, so no. That, have I told you 3 or 4 then? 1, 2, 3. I may have miscounted how many finished things I have, or maybe I'm forgetting. Anyway, this next one I'm going to show you. So I have blankets all over my house. Some of them are quilted, some of them are crocheted, knitted, whatever, all over the house. My children love putting blankets on the ground and lying down on them. They just love it. My dog, whenever the children put a blanket on the ground, thinks that it's for her and lies down on it. And I was like, I need to make her a blanket for her, because every time without fail, like even this one, when it was wet and blocking, she came up and was like, oh, look, a new home for me. And I was like, no, get off my new jumper, get off. We have a Polish sheepdog, so she's quite, like, she's a medium, a proper sized dog. So yeah, she just assumes something on the ground is for her. So I was like, I need to crochet her a blanket so that she has her own. As I had this percolating in my mind, I started going through my craft room in order to start packing and sorting. And I found a big garbage bag full of partially stuffed pillows. I probably have something around here. You'll see the actual thing that I've done in a minute. It was given to me by someone who had decided to make a puff quilt and never finished it, and realized she wasn't going to finish it. So she got her son to send it to me. And it just kind of sat there. And I was expecting fabric, but it had all been cut up into squares, and most of it had already been, or rectangles, most of it had already been sewn around and stuffed, and just had the opening waiting to be closed up, and then the whole thing sewn together. And I've done a few things in the past. I've made some of the, cut and not sewn parts into pouches. I've sewn up some of the bits for the ones that were stuffed, and my daughter loves them for pillows for her and for her dolls. But I still had this huge bag sitting there, and I was like, I don't want to move with this bag. It's not something that I am excited to use. It's not something that is contributing to the craft that I already do. It's just kind of sitting there, and it was like a garbage bag taking up room. And so I was trying to figure out what to do with it. And then I thought, hey, I need to make a rug for my dog. Why don't I try and sew one for her? Because she loves also stuffed animals. And if one of our kids, they have a few giant stuffed animals, if that's sitting on a couch, she'll go up to it and she'll lie down on the couch and put her head on the stuffed animal. And I was like, she just likes soft things. So what I did, I pulled my daughter over and said, can you help me lay this out? And I sewed it together. And now she has a stuffed padded blanket. There was a lot of the orange, a lot of the orange. And so I think I ended up having 2 or 3 kind of pillow-sized shape things that were still stuffed left over, but the majority is here. Yes, I call it her 70s rug now. And I didn't sew up the holes as I went. Sorry, before I did it, I just lay it out. I sewed the rows together, and most of that sewed up the holes as I went. Any that were on the edge, I just went back and sewed together. I'm debating going through and doing a binding on the edge just to make it a little bit more secure so it's less likely to fall apart, but that's done. And she's been using it. It's been great. Well, having done that, I still wanted to do the crocheted one because she enjoys it, she uses it, but we have an upstairs and a downstairs, and she sits in both places. So I thought if I can have a blanket for upstairs and a blanket for downstairs, brilliant. As I was going through the craft cupboard, I also found this tub of acrylic. Now, I use acrylic for blankets. I have a blanket going where I'm using acrylic, and I'm using, this kind of DK weight acrylic. But I had a lot that was Aran weight, worsted weight, different types. I have a bit of fluffy in here. I had quite a bit of this, which I actually think may be wool. I got it from a scrap bag at some point. It's just bits and bobs in here. And I thought, it's time. I'm going to start making her that crochet blanket and see if I can get that done soon. So I started that on the 1st of December. I used an 8mm hook. This is my Tulip Atimo hook, and I love it. My only feedback would be that the silicone part is a little bit low, and sometimes when I'm doing it, it gets caught, like the yarn gets caught on this part of the silicone here. But if I move my finger forward a little bit, that doesn't happen. So that's my only thing with this hook, but otherwise it's ergonomically quite comfortable. And so I just started crocheting a double stitch rug. And this is what I got. I just started on one side. I striped in as I went. I didn't have a particular plan. I did have mostly red, green, and cream yarn, so it definitely looks Christmassy. Yeah, it's just double crochet, US term, I think treble UK term, just the whole way back and forward, no particular plan. I had a huge amount of a dark red and a little bit of a slightly lighter, but most of it was just scraps. And so I tried to hold similar colours together mostly, but obviously getting a bit more mild. And at the beginning, when I, was like, I've had 2 rows of this, I would chop it and I would just weave in the end, like crochet over the end as I kept going. When I got to the point that I was reaching the end of yarns, I would just keep going. And so there, as it goes on, it's a little bit more scrappy looking. I'll change colours sometimes 2-3 times within a row rather than waiting to the end. But again, I always try to swap for a similar colour so that you get those long rows of continuity. Like here, you can see here to here to here. It does change quite a bit. Anyway, that was really fun. It took me a few days to get that done. And then again, because my dog likes to rest her head on things, I wanted to add a pillow on the ends. So last night I came back and I crocheted this circle and this circle. Oops, sorry. And this circle. And I then did just a crochet join down here end to end. It's probably not very accurate, but I also had some polyfill. I had 2 giant bags of polyfill that someone had given me when I don't know if one came from the person who gave me the stuffed things or if they both came from the same person. Either way, I had 2 bags of it. And so what I did was I found some fabric bags that I was planning to throw away, use for something, but like they were small ones that I wouldn't normally use. And so I filled them with the polyfill and used them to stuff here. I didn't want to just put polyfill straight in here because it is quite a loose gauge and my dog would just pull it out. So I've put it inside fabric bags and then put it in here. And so it's quite a bit lumpy. If I wanted it to look better, I would have just made a long, narrow pillow, stuffed it, and put that inside. But I wanted to use what I had, and it was quite successful. She came, I'll try and remember to put a photo in here, she came and laid down on it and straight away just kind of snuggled up to this, put her back on it. And so my husband was like, maybe I could do a similar thing on this side so that she's got like a corner to snuggle into. But we'll see. I logistically would have to change the shape of it a bit to make that work. But I could, or I could just crochet another flap, which would actually work fine. I might do that because I have plenty of yarn. But that took, I'm calling it finished because it is finished, even if I change it or add to it later. That took 736 grams of yarn, which again feels really great. But that means that my total for the year already is over 9,000, which is why I was like, maybe I could get it over 10,000 grams this year. Not sure yet. I'm not committing to it, but it's in the realm of possibility. Especially if I add to that, because that would be another quite a bit. And I would also get rid of the leftovers, which would be really nice too. I'll think about it. What else is there about that? No, I think that's it. So I made 2 rugs. The last thing that I can't show you that I did finish is I made a wedding dress. I've been working on this for a while, and I can show you a little bit. So it's got chiffon, it had satin, and it's got beadwork on the top. This is just a little scrap that I was doing some test sewing on. But yes, this is what I was using, but I made a wedding dress. And this one, I didn't record making it at all. A friend asked if I could help her make her wedding dress. But I just wanted to share it here because I did it without a pattern. Like I drafted the pattern as we were making the dress. And it was just one of those things that I was like, I didn't know I could do that. And I did it, and it was amazing. So I'm really glad that I did it, that I was able to help her. But it was, it's something that's taken a fair bit of time over the past month getting that done. And that dress is now on its way to America with its owner, who is going to get married in a couple of months. All right, so there for the things that I've finished. I have a couple of things that I've been working on that I'm going to share with you, and then I'm going to talk Advent. So the first one I showed you last week, I think I'd started it, and I've done a bit more. This is made with Grundle Hot Socks 6-ply Xmas, and it's colour 6344. And for the heel and possibly for the toe, I'll use it too. I've used Novita Nalo, probably saying that completely wrong. And this is colour 523. getting some glare. This is one of the ones that I bought to try and make myself DK socks, but has worked beautifully to go with this. And it is a 6-ply. I say DK, I think it's technically a sport or a light DK. So I'm using Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady's free pattern, which is DK weight vanilla socks, but I'm doing it on 3mm instead of 3.25mm needles, and I'm doing the larger size where I would normally do a medium to compensate for the fact that the needles are smaller. This is for my husband. It fits me fine. I also did 2 extra rows on the heel flap. 2 extra repeats of the pattern on the heel flap to make it a wider arch, because my husband has quite a high arch area. Yeah, so I'm very happy with how this yarn is knitting up with the different patterns going through it. I'm glad that I did that contrasting heel so that I didn't have the pattern break. Like, I would have had this green and part of this red as the heel flap and heel turn. So really happy with how that's working out. It is just straight knitting, so it's very quick. I did most of that gusset and foot in one Polish lesson on Tuesday. So I'm working away on that when I have brainless knitting time. And then the other socks that I'm working on is a teacher gift, and I'm maybe 20 rows away from the toe. So this one, I'm just doing a 2x2 broken rib. So I'm doing 2x2 rib for the cuff, and then when I got to the body, I did, in my last episode, I was like, I've decided I'm going to do this, and I stuck with it. It's 2 rows of rib, 2 rows plain, 2 rows rib, 2 rows plain. So it gets this nice little waffle texture. I'm not sure how well that's going to show up because it is quite a busy yarn, but it does, like, it's just delightful to look at. It's squishy. It gives it that extra width, which I wanted. Because it is a teacher gift, I wanted it to be a more flexible fit. So I'm doing vanilla socks on Magic Loop by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady, but with this pattern added into it. It's a size medium. I'm doing no pattern on the bottom of the foot, just on the top of the foot. And like I said, I got like 20 rows to go before I get to the toe. And then I'll start the second sock. My son did come back and tell me the third teacher's favorite color, and she said it's probably white. So I'm going to take it that she likes neutrals. And I think I showed it last week, I have some really lovely alpaca pale grey yarn. And so I'm going to do that with a pattern for the third teacher, and I'm excited to get that done. I've got the socks for my husband going. I have socks for me going, and my 2 kids, I'm going to try and make socks for Christmas, but they've got small feet, so it shouldn't take too long. And then I've also got 2 pairs of socks I want to do as gifts for my Polish teacher and her husband. And I realized I made a pair of socks for a gift for someone else, but that isn't needed until next Christmas. So I'm going to abscond with those, use them for this person, and knit some more for that other person for next year. Yeah, that one I got done way ahead of time. And then I was thinking about maybe making some for their son as well, who is fully grown adult. So that's another big pair of socks. So I've got a lot of sock knitting that I'm still hoping to get done before Christmas, which is in, 3 weeks' time. Yeah, we'll see. But I think the Christmas gifts for the teachers I can get done, and then the ones for the other family members, even if I don't have them. And then I will see about the teacher gifts for my teacher. That's only 1 extra pair of socks at that point, right? It's fine. All right, so Advent. I do an Advent swap with my mum, my sister, and a couple of friends. And this year we've done a Jane Austen theme. And so I made everyone a Jane Austen themed bag. Sorry, that sun's coming out now. It's getting a bit glary. My one is Mr. Darcy. I used a book panel. It was a Jane Austen alphabet, and so there were different letters of the alphabet, and I chose Darcy for me. Yeah, so I just chose according to what people like. I hope. Colours, styles, pictures, all those things. And in here is what I've opened already. It is day 5, so there's 5 in here, and I'm going to show you what I have. So these are, yeah, just all dyed according to, every person got a different book and did 4 colours. So the first book was Sense and Sensibility. I did watch the 2008 version on the 1st of December. This one, hang on, I'm just going to go change that curtain because that is getting quite glary. Hang on. Yeah, this is what we got now. It's looking quite dark and a little bit uneven lighting, but I'm going to go with it. We are almost done. Sense and Sensibility. This was the first one. This is Marianne, and the word that went with it was emotional Marianne, and it has a quote, which I stuck in the middle. Emotional Marianne Dashwood. She was sensible and clever, but eager in everything. Her sorrows, her joys could have no moderation. She was generous, amiable, interesting. She was everything but prudent. And I thought, what a lovely green for that. The next one was Passionate John Willoughby, this beautiful deep pink. And it says, to resist such attractions, to have withstood such tenderness, is there a man on earth who could have done it? Beautiful. The next colour was Calm Eleanor Dashwood, this beautiful, it's grey, but it's a very pale blue grey. Eleanor, this eldest daughter whose advice was so effectual, possessed a strength of understanding and coolness of judgment. And then number 4 was Gentle Colonel Brandon, which is this beautiful orangey colour. The world had made him suffer and taught him to be reserved, but it had made him a most attentive and tender friend. And so that was, together, that is Sense and Sensibility. And then today we started Pride and Prejudice. And this is the colour, this beautiful, it's probably a little bit more pink than is showing up, but it's this beautiful kind of dusty pink colour, and it came with a little stitch marker. Jane and Mr. Bingley. And so this one, the person who dyed it has done it based on relationships within Pride and Prejudice. And so this is the colour to represent Jane and Mr. Bingley's relationship. Beautiful, pure, calm, love it. So the fact that most of these are still skeined up tells you that I haven't done much on my Advent knitting. And the truth is I haven't even started it. So normally I love Advent knitting and I love going through from the beginning, every day, sitting down with my thing, skeining it up, adding it in. I think partly the reason I haven't done this yet this year is because of the chaos that I mentioned earlier of moving and packing and sorting, and my craft closet is currently just all over my bedroom, because when I started cleaning that out, I then noticed a leak in the roof and an area that had grown mold. Nothing was damaged because it was behind where everything was in plastic tubs, but the chaos, and that all happened right at the end of November. So I was like, I'm just not ready to start something new, which is sad. But the other thing is I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. And it's day 5. I had spoken about doing a blanket, a crochet blanket, but when I looked at it, the price of the blanket for the amount of blocks in the pattern that I was actually going to make it just seemed a little bit disproportionate. I think there are 12 blocks in the pattern, 12 squares in the pattern. And so you do each one of those twice. But I was going to use maybe 3 or 5 of them in the end and pay for the full pattern to get 3 or 5 blocks of pattern. And the price per square at that point was just more than I was willing to pay. And I also wasn't sure about doing that because some of the patterns, some of the blankets I really liked, some of them I didn't. And I really wanted to do knitting, not just crochet, which I think is hilarious because basically all I've done so far in December is crochet. I understand the irony there. Anyway, I had a bit of a think about it, spoke to my sister, and part of it is there are all these shawls I want to make that would work really well with an advent, but I've just finished making a shawl. I've got another shawl that I'm trying to get done for Christmas that I haven't touched yet. And so I was like, I'm not sure a shawl is the way to go. I have plenty of shawls. I don't need any more. And because it's such a large quantity of yarn, it's 480 grams plus whatever else I add into it as a contrast color, I feel like it needs to be something notable, usable, practical, maybe. And so I started looking at like color work tops and sweaters and things, and I found a few that I like, but none that I was like, yes, I definitely want to make this. And so then I started thinking, am I trying to find a project to suit the yarn that I don't know what the yarn is yet? Or am I just wanting to do something for fun? And I think I've come back to, I just want to do something for fun. It's scrappy, so I need something that works with scrappy. It's not, you know, a color gradient. It's not all going to be the same tones. They'll be darker, they'll be lighter, they'll be, so far they're all tonal, but they're not all going to be tonal. So it just, the variegation by having 6 or 5 different people dye the yarn means that it's not cohesive in a, I've got a gradient kind of thing. So I've been trying to figure out how to best use that and show that off and show the colors off. Anyway, I think what I've decided, and I say I think because I haven't done it yet, but I'm hoping that this afternoon I will, is I want to do the Luminara shawl by, what's her name? She has a whole bunch of different Advent ones. The Anisadora shawl was hers as well, that I started a few years back and then stopped because I wanted it scrappy and it was using gradient yarn. So that was another option for this year. But the Luminara shawl, it has a contrast color that makes it look almost like a tartan. And I thought that is beautiful. And in her sample, I think she used 10 20-gram minis for the whole thing. But there is a mix of dark and light. And so I'm like, I can do that with what I've got, mix of dark and light, it should work. And because it's a shawl, the first few days will be much quicker than the later days, so I can catch up pretty quickly to where I am and then add in a colour a day. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Having finished the dog bed, I have a bit more space to think about it, which is nice. Yeah. I did have a look yesterday to see if I had a contrast colour that would work, and I don't. And I don't want to spend another day or two dyeing a colour, so I might just use a undyed yarn that I have, so I can just pull one down, skein it up, and do that as a contrast colour and go there. And I think it has the it has a more antique-y, vintagey kind of feel to it, which I wanted for this one because it's Jane Austen. So I think I'm going to do that. If I come back next week and I've said I've changed my mind, I'm doing something completely different, then that's what it is. But I think that's what I'm going to do because I just want to knit these yarns. They are gorgeous. And while most of them would work really well for colour work, there's not a colour work pattern that I'm really wanting to do. That's not Fair Isle. And Fair Isle, you need to do a lot more colour placement and management than just, this is the colour I'm going to add it in. My sister is doing some amazing stockings by doing that with a Pacific doodle pattern. But yeah. So anyway, that is why I have my yarn in a bag, not even wound up properly. So I think actually when I finish this, I'll go get that down, wind it up, and then look at what I've got for the rest of the day, because it is Friday and I know some things I need to do and I know some things that have been cancelled. Anyway, so I think that is everything today. We do have a Christmas tree up. We've done very light on the decorating this year because we're moving. And so we've put up the stuff that is kind of essential for making it feel like Christmas, but we haven't put out things like tinsel on the banisters and whatnot that we just have to take down if we move in the middle of Christmas, because we don't have a date for moving yet. So we just know we're moving at some point in the next few months. One thing I did want to share is this book that I'm reading at the moment. It's my Advent devotional that I started. I did it last year, I think the same one, and I mentioned it a while ago, but I didn't have the book. So I just wanted to show you this is what it looks like. It's called Emmanuel, an invitation to prepare him room at Christmas and always. And it is by Ruth Simmons, who does, I think she did the writing, but also all of the artwork. So I just wanted to share it. It is beautiful to sit down and look at the artwork every day. It's got different quotes in it. It's got like a weekly summary and then daily things to read as well. I am really enjoying it. So I just wanted to share that with you. The first week is kind of a reframing, taking whatever crazy hurry thing you may be feeling and reframing it and pointing you back to God. And from memory, the next ones kind of go deeper into that. So the first week is kind of a reframing and helping you refocus on what is important at Christmas time. So anyway, second year that I'm using this and I am enjoying it again. The kids, we're using the Raising Disciples Advent calendar, which is little printables. And so one day on one side it has either a Bible verse or a chapter from the big picture storybook Bible, or both, that you read through. And on the other side it has a little picture. I think yesterday was an ark. The day before was, I think the first day was a tree, but it's just a little picture to help you remember what you've already read and gone through. And we're not doing the activities. We got them a chocolate advent. So every day they open the chocolate advent and we read through whatever it is that we're reading through. I do have the activities there kind of set aside as a idea thing for me, and we will do some of them anyway. But when I pulled it all out and I laid it all out and I started getting ready to fill up bags with activities, I was like, this is just too much this year, because I can't plan for a month's time if I don't know where I'm going to be in a month. So we scaled it back. The kids aren't missing anything. They are having a blast every day, pulling it down, looking at the chapter, reading that, eating their chocolate. And we do activities anyway, like today we're having a movie night because it's Friday. And so I'll just maybe do hot chocolate with the movie night or something to make it a little bit more Christmassy. Yeah. So there you go. That's a bit of a life update as well as knitting and crocheting. And I finished a lot. Still have more to finish. I'm going to fit next year's podcast ons with what I've got already on the needles. But I did this month. I did try a new thing. Normally, I put my projects on this side and have this as like a little note page. This month, what I've done is I've put the projects over here, and I'll probably end up doing an extra half a page on this side, and then the bottom side be the bottom part be, the notes or stats and stuff. And so I'm going to see if I can do that and still keep it on 2 pages per month. But if I decide I want an extra one, I still have that possibility. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I'd love to hear what you've been working on in the comments, whether that's while you're watching this or in general what you've been working on. If you want to put a photo and show me a photo of what you've been working on, you can do that over on the Ravelry group page, which will be also linked down below. I have mentioned 12 cast-ons here. I have my playlist from last year linked below. Ange from Yanni Nans, who hosts that knit along, will also be linked below. And I have, I will start doing that again in December. I've got that all sorted and planned. After Christmas, I will start that. Oh, and Ange is also hosting a finishing frenzy at the moment. So everything that I've shown you that I've started and finished or just finished is all part of that as well. So go check out her channel. She has a video, I think, talking about it. But yeah, if you're trying to get stuff finished, great chance to do that with some other people around you too. All right. Lovely to see you again. I will see you again in a week or two. Bye.